There are 5 foods that you need to know about to improve your sleep quality. This is one of those videos that you want to save and keep watching over and over just to remind yourself of these key things to help you sleep. I personally had a sleep problem extremely bad for well over a decade, and I wish I would have known what I'm going to tell you right now. The big thing about sleep is to optimize a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that helps you go to sleep and get into some of these deep, restful waves of sleep. More importantly than boosting melatonin, it's important to know how to avoid things that reduce your melatonin. The first thing has to do with your temperature in your room. If you're going to bed and your temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer, you're going to have a significantly lowered melatonin level as well as a lowered REM level. The quality of sleep is going to be really crappy. The best temperature to optimize melatonin between 60 and 69 degrees Fahrenheit, with the optimum perfect number at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If your room is at that temperature, your melatonin will be optimized. Even your body's core temperature, which should be 98.6, between 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock, your core temperature goes down between 1 and 2 degrees. People that have insomnia don't have that mechanism where their body gets cooler by 1 to 2 degrees. A lot of you watching are doing intermittent fasting. And you probably watched my videos in the past where I told you to get up in the morning, skip your breakfast, have your first meal at 12 and your last meal at 6. But here's my conclusion on that. I think initially it's very good to do that, especially if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to correct insulin resistance, because here you are, you fasted all night, might as well ride the wave, go as long as you can, and then have your first meal. But after you do it for a period of time, let's say you do this for over a year or even 6 months and you kind of correct this insulin resistance, you may want to experiment to have your first meal in the morning and your second meal at lunch, and maybe not even have a dinner, because one thing that will disrupt your sleep is sleeping on a very large meal. What I've been doing recently, and it seems to work really good, is to have the 2 meals in the first part of the day. This also gives you a little more energy through the day, not at night. So why would you want to have a large meal in the evening, which you're just going to sleep on? This next point has to do with blue light. If we look at the spectrum of light, part of that spectrum is the blue light. That is the wave that you want to filter out in the evening. Why? Because blue light inhibits or suppresses that sleep hormone, melatonin, that helps you go to sleep. Probably the worst is the flipping through the social media on your cell phone before you go to bed. There is a big difference between the TV blue light and close-up cell phone blue light. The blue light in your cell phone is much stronger. So if you are going to watch TV at night, that's fine, but just turn the lights out around the TV so you can darken things. And if you have to be on your cell phone, you can wear these blue light filtered glasses. You have to realize that blue light not only affects melatonin, it kind of wakes you up. And blue light also messes with your eyes. It can create damage in the eyes. So just be aware of blue light. Turn the lights down a little bit as it gets later in the day. Another way to build up your melatonin is through exposing yourself to the actual sun during the day. The vitamin D from the sun can also help indirectly increase your melatonin and your sleep cycles. But I tell you, if you have sleep apnea or you have jet lag or you're on rotational shifts, you should be consuming vitamin D as well, because vitamin D is really important in kind of reestablishing those circadian waves. Now, there's one more point about cell phones. There's something called EMF, electromagnetic fields, that come off this. It's like invisible radiation. Just as a very side note, I will do a full video on this, but this is the device that I use. It's the Trifield. So you can turn this on and start testing the exposure to various things to see what is giving you all these EMF waves that could greatly inhibit your sleep. I have tested my entire house, right? I go through the computer, I go through the area where I'm sleeping, the walls that are close to my bed to make sure there was no extra frequencies that were affecting me. And I found several areas that were really messing me up. And one was just in the back wall where my head was on the headboard. The wires were crossed. So I had an electrician come in there and fix that. And that created a huge improvement in my arrhythmias that I had. I started getting palpitations in my heart. And I felt like when I went to sleep, it was like my heart was like working harder. And it was those EMF waves. Amazing. There's a few more things that inhibit melatonin: alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, medications, especially the antidepressants, and also a high carb diet will inhibit the melatonin. And if you exercise like 3 hours before you go to sleep. All right, now let's get to the 5 foods that can help you increase melatonin. The first food we're going to talk about is tart cherries. Okay, now there's 2 different studies that I looked at. One was tart cherry juice, like 1 ounce before bed, and the other one was just consuming tart cherries twice a day. The tart cherries, there actually is melatonin in there. There's also something called tryptophan. Tryptophan turns into serotonin, which then turns into melatonin, apparently giving some people 84 more minutes of sleep in a study that was done with people over age 50. Number 2 is kiwis. Consuming 2 kiwis a day actually increase serotonin. That's that precursor to melatonin. After 4 weeks of consuming kiwis, there was a significant improvement in quality of sleep, length of sleep, waking up feeling refreshed, and speed of going to sleep. Number 3, fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and trout. All 3 of these can help increase melatonin. Number 4, kefir. Kefir is like yogurt, but it has even more microbes. It survives the stomach acids much better. And don't get the flavored one. Get the unflavored whole milk, grass-fed, whether you do, from goat's milk, sheep milk. So you want to get the kefir, and you can blend that with things rich in polyphenols like berries. I like the blueberry. Sometimes I'll do raspberry or blackberry. And when you drink it, you're feeding your microbiome polyphenols, which they're going to thank you for by helping you sleep. The last food that I'm going to recommend is sauerkraut. Now, the microbes in raw sauerkraut can help you sleep greatly. The cabbage also has tryptophan. It has things to help your gut. It also increases something called GABA. GABA is a kind of a neurotransmitter that calms you down. It's going to help you sleep. And as we age, our GABA goes down. Sauerkraut has certain properties that help you reduce stress and cortisol. Sauerkraut also has vitamin C that's been associated with better sleep. And lastly, don't forget about your breathing while you're sleeping. Breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly through your nose. So just by focusing on the breathing can kind of pull you out of this sympathetic stress state. So I have videos on that as well. In fact, that might be a really good one to watch right now. I'll put it up right here. Check it out.